everybody, it's the Ash Raichu here with part 2 of Turnabout Escort. Last time we got details to the case, and we're about to hear our first testimony from Mr. DuGalle. Damon Gant. Mr. Moore and I were in a meeting until 7:15 p.m. When we finally finished, we were both naturally very tired, and Mr. Moore had a long walk home. So I offered to have Marius drive him. I elected to walk home since I needed the exercise anyway. That was a surprisingly succinct testimony. The defense may cross-examine the witness. Your Honor, this gives us no new information. There is nothing to cross-examine.
Objection!
The defense has the right to cross-examine the witness. Computer volume is pretty loud. Hold on. There we go. Mr. Justice is correct. Please, Mr. Payne, I would like to get this trial finished sometime this century. Stop objecting to every little thing. I know, seriously, you're pulling a Von Karma. Alright, Apollo, time to show him what you're made of. Bang. Whoosh. Cross-examination. Mr. Moore and I were in a meeting until 7:15 p.m. Hold it! What sort of meeting was this exactly? Oh, just a sort of boring ho-ho-hum kind of meeting, having to do with taxes and the like. I'm afraid I don't exaggerate when I say that my talents are better spent elsewhere. Just a week before, we had quite a thrilling meeting, a debate about what to do with our surplus. Of course, as you can imagine, a meeting like that took hours and hours to complete. But it wasn't nearly as long as the meeting we had last November regarding a certain barrel. The prosecution objects to the witness's incessant rambling, as does the defense. Both objections sustained. The witness will refrain from delivering trivial anecdotes, if you insist. When we finally finished, we were both naturally very tired, and Mr. Moore had a long walk home. Actually, let me thumb through the evidence. Report, pistol, and Zindi. Okay. So I offered to have Marius drive him. I elected to walk home since I needed the exercise anyway. I think there's an extra bit of testimony that we need to achieve. Is there any particular reason we're both so exhausted? Well, we had been working since 8 a.m. that morning, and we only took a 15-minute lunch. Suffice to say, we were definitely done for the day. Well, what did you do about Mr. Moore's long walk home? He was getting to that. Stop interrupting the testimony. That's all right, Mr. Prosecutor. Anyways, I knew that Mr. Moore had an awful long walk home. So I offered to have Marius drive him. And did he accept? Of course he accepted. How else would he have ended up in the limousine? Right. The prosecution is quite correct, Apollo, my boy, but at any rate, I elected to walk home since I needed the exercise anyway. Hold it. So you would just let him use your vehicle like that? That's certainly very generous of you. Well, when you've been friends as long as Ilba and I had, that sort of thing is very commonplace. So did you leave before or after he entered the vehicle? I left before, I believe, but I did see him get in. I was anxious to get home, so I just told him which limo was mine and walked home. Do you have a feeling that detail is important, Apollo? Yes, actually, I'm not entirely sure. Let us hear your thoughts, Mr. Justice. Was that last detail important enough to be added to the testimony? It was very important. It was very important, Your Honor. Very well. Witness, add this detail to your testimony. As you wish. I told Mr. Moyer where my car was parked, and I went on my merry way. Now, hold on. Limousine data. Let's check this again. Licensed chauffeurs for this type of vehicle are trained not to allow anyone to enter without bearing a card key. Limousine data. Present. Objection! So what you're saying is, you didn't open the door for the victim to let him in your car. As I said, I started for home and then Mr. Moyer let himself in. We've been over this. But that does not make sense. What? Well, the vehicle specifications say that a card key is required to enter. And the victim didn't have one. In other words, he wouldn't have been able to enter without the witness's help. Wait a minute. Our defense attorney has forgotten something. Why couldn't the defendant have simply opened the door for him? I'm afraid you'll have to provide a sufficient answer to this question, Mr. Justice. Don't worry, Apollo. Everything you need is in the court record. Why didn't the defendant just open the door for the witness? Again, if you check the limousine data, he wasn't allowed to. He wasn't allowed to, Your Honor. Right here on page 3 of the limousine data. Chauffeurs for this vehicle are trained not to allow anyone to enter without a card key. Not even a friend of the owner. Apollo, my boy, I feel I owe you an apology. What do you mean? Well, actually I forgot a key detail in my testimony. Key, detail, card key, that's not funny. I fear that I can be a rather forgetful person on occasion. Why, just last week I forgot where I put my favorite gloves. An especially unfortunate event, seeing as they make a rather bold fashion statement. Yeah, black gloves. I'm pretty sure that fashion statement is, I'm suspicious. I'm actually the only one who wears gloves at work, you know. Very daring of me, to be sure. Mr. DuGalle, you were saying something about a key detail you forgot. Ah, yes. You see, I allowed Mr. Moyer to borrow my card key for temporary use. I also gave him the note to present to Marius explaining the situation. Objection! Mr. Payne did say there was a card key found at the scene, but there was no mention of any note. It's true! How do you expect this? How do you explain this, Mr. Payne? Actually, Your Honor, he did find a note. What? I'm terribly sorry I didn't mention it. It seemed trivial at the time. In the future, Mr. Payne, you will take more care not to omit vital facts. Do you have the note in question? Yes, Your Honor. Perhaps we should add both the note and the card key to the court record. The court accepts these as evidence. Note added to the court record, and the card key is added to the court record. There, you see, these things work themselves out in the end. I think it would be best if the witness testified again. More accurately this time. No problem whatsoever, Your Honor. Okay, I think we're going to hear we're going to hear Mr. DuGalle's testimony and end the part. Witness testimony. Events leading to the crime.